Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Ontario Aquaculture Research Centre. I'm your host, Kaylee Moore, one of the agricultural assistants here at OARC. If you're looking to learn more about aquaculture, you're in the right place. On today's episode, we have Assistant Professor David Huyben joining us to talk about the aquaculture opportunities at the University of Guelph.
Hi guys, and welcome back to our channel. I'm so excited to introduce David Huyben, the Assistant Professor for Aquaculture at the University of Guelph. I invited David to join us today to talk about aquaculture opportunities at the University of Guelph, but also to kind of share his journey navigating the aquaculture field. David, can you start us off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so thanks for having me on, Kaylee, and it's great that you're doing this series of videos with different people from the aquaculture community. And so I grew up on a small cash crop and chicken farm near Forest, which is outside of Sarnia, Ontario. And I knew that Guelph had a really good program for agriculture and a mixture of fundamental and basic science. So I was really into that aspect. And basically, I did an undergrad here years ago. And after my third year, I was looking for a summer job. And I was able to find a summer job with Don Bureau, who has a fish nutrition lab at the Department of Animal Biosciences. And from that point, I was hooked, so to speak, on fish. And so that was a great start for me. And then I took Rich Machia's aquaculture course, and I got into aquaculture even more. And then I did a thesis-based master's with him before moving to Sweden for a PhD and then a postdoc in Scotland. So, and just last June, I was hired as an assistant professor in aquaculture. So now I'm flipping from being the student to the professor. So it's been a really cool and exciting experience, and I'm glad to be back in Canada, especially Guelph, which is an amazing university.
No, that's awesome. I say this every time. I enjoy hearing where people have started and where they end up. It's especially in this aquaculture industry or environmental, a lot of people kind of go all over the place and do different things. So it's really cool to see, where someone starts and where they end up. But like you were kind of saying, you started at the University of Guelph, but you furthered your education in Sweden and then the United Kingdom. Can you give us some background, what drove you to continue studying aquaculture, and why did you end up going to Europe?
Yeah, so after my master's at Guelph, I was thinking about doing a PhD, but I wasn't really sure, and moved to Sweden. Short answer was because of a girl. My wife had a position as a PhD student in Uppsala University, and I went with her, and I contemplated doing a PhD, worked in a few different labs and worked on different fish species, and then I finally realized that yes, it was a good goal for me, and I could kind of handle the ups and downs of a PhD, because it's definitely not a straight line to success in that regard. And so they had, I did a 4-year PhD in Sweden. They had a really good program where they're looking at next generation sequencing for fish. And so I was able to help develop that. And we had a few of the first studies on Arctic char, rainbow trout, and Atlantic salmon looking at their gut microbes. And then basically after I finished my PhD, I also then I went to Scotland, where I did a 3-year postdoc. And Scotland is a huge producer of Atlantic salmon, as a lot of people probably know. They're top in the world behind Chile and Norway. And so there's a lot of opportunity. And so I was working at the University of Stirling in the Aquaculture Institute. So it's an entire department dedicated to sustainable aquaculture. So it was quite amazing to work in, and they have an array of fish welfare people, microbiologists, nutritionists, so quite an environment. And then, so in terms of what drove me to study aquaculture and go to Europe, it was just taking on a new adventure, and that's a great thing about aquaculture. It's so diverse and it's so international that I could kind of pick up what I learned from Guelph and apply it in Sweden and in Scotland, and and take some things I've learned from those countries and bring it back to Guelph as well.
No, that's fantastic. And I mean, it's like life in general. Like you just go where the opportunities are, and you open new doors and stuff like that for wherever you are, regardless if it's in your hometown or in a different city and things like that. And that's like you're saying, there's work everywhere, especially with aquaculture as it's growing rapidly and becoming more in demand. So I think it's fantastic to get to experience those different settings of aquaculture, especially in other countries, and getting to see what they're doing there. And I mean, aquaculture itself is so diverse from facility to facility because we're so dependent on your surrounding area, like on the environment. So I think there's so many different techniques and methods in place, and being able to like branch from not only from your own province but the country and other countries. I think that's really interesting that you have that ability. Here at our center, we're super lucky to be a part of your current research efforts. For those watching today, David's research focuses on the effects of feeding omega-3 fatty acids, single-cell proteins, and probiotics on the growth, immune response, and gut microbiome of salamonid fish, including rainbow trout and Atlantic salmon. So can you tell us a little bit about your research?
Sure. So like I was saying before, I was part of one of the first to use next generation sequencing to look at what kinds of bacteria are in the fish gut of a few different farm species. So now we know what is there, but we don't really know how they interact with the immune system, with the nutrition of the fish. We know they produce some fatty acids and vitamins, and at least on the human research side, there's been a lot of research activity on probiotics, and we're finding out more and more that the bacteria in our gut are just sitting there. They're doing very essential functions for our health and for our nutrition. So part of my research program is to look at the microbiome of salmonids, so mainly rainbow trout and Atlantic salmon, and find out what nutrients they're producing, how they're interacting with fish, how they're influencing the immune system or vice versa, and also looking at sustainable diets such as insects and yeast and microbial meals that replace fish meal and fish oil in the diet, and looking at essential requirements such as omega-3s and different amino acids as well. So there's a lot of room and a lot of unknowns, especially in the microbiome kind of world. So we've got some great facilities here for sequencing and to look at gut microbes. And like you said, at the Ontario Aquaculture Research Center, there's a lot of opportunity to do a lot of live feeding trials, nutrition trials, challenge tests, and things like that on a range of different aquaculture species. So it's quite exciting.
Yeah, no, for us, it's exciting to get to be a part of, obviously, research and seeing the growth and the trials of, navigating all these new opportunities coming up. And I know for myself, like if I was looking to be a student, what kind of opportunities for a student interested in aquaculture or aquatic field are found at the University of Guelph?
Yeah, so like I said before, there's a couple undergrad courses that are third-year undergrad courses. Aquaculture Advanced Issues is the course that I teach, and there's also Don Bureau teaches the nutrition of fish and crustacea. There's also fourth-year courses you can take, such as Research in Animal Biology, and there the students can do a lit review and also a small research project. And you can specialize in aquaculture. And in terms of undergrad summer projects, occasionally in my lab and a few others, there's a URA, so undergrad research assistant position that some undergrads can take usually in their third year or after their third year. And then for grad students, there's masters by coursework or by thesis, and so you could do that in my lab or Dom's lab, as well as a PhD. And so there's a range of different, both undergraduate and graduate courses and projects that you can do on aquaculture. And so in my lab, I specialized on the microbiome, looking at different nutrients, different bacteria, sequencing, qPCR. But there's a lot of other faculty members and departments that can bridge different gaps in the literature, and you can do a project that involves different disciplines as well. So quite exciting with the resources at Guelph and the resource at Alma as well.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I didn't go to university, I went to college, but like, Fleming College, they have their own on-site hatchery, and kind of for the university perspective, you guys are able to utilize having, us here at the station. And I mean, we're a little outside of town, so we're a bit out there, but not too far. But, kind of the same thing, like we have the space and capacity to, be able to run trials and research projects and, really work with the University of Guelph and, get to be a part of that. And I know all of us out here enjoy working with the profs and master students and PhD students in navigating the aquaculture industry. But if like a future student was watching this video, kind of what advice would you have for someone interested in getting into the aquaculture field?
Yeah, I would say if you're interested, get your toe wet, so to speak. I would either volunteer or at least go on a tour of a research facility or an aquaculture station or lab. Try to do, if you're in an undergrad program, pick an aquaculture course and try to do like a small project or a lit review and see if you really enjoy it, and if it's not a chore, and if you are really passionate about it, you'll know right away. And I'd also say, like, keep your door open, try a lot of opportunities if you can, try to travel if you can. I was quite lucky that I could move to a different continent and bring my knowledge and apply it, and it was definitely an adventure. It was quite nervous, kind of moving continents and being kind of from the Guelph area and living here for a number of years, and kind of picking up everything in 4 suitcases and a cat and moving to Sweden. So hopefully post-COVID, those opportunities will still be there, and you can travel across Canada or across the globe and try either a short or a long aquaculture program, be it a master's or bachelor's or PhD, or just working in another lab for a little while. And it's great to get different perspectives and really build your toolbox up. So learning different things in different ways really makes you a better researcher and student or professional for the future. So yeah, I know Alma's it's a little ways away, but I know that in Scotland, the marine station was at least a 4-hour drive.
Oh, wow.
To the west coast. And that was if the avalanches and the landslides didn't stop the road traffic. And then in Sweden, if you weren't iced over, I think it was about 4 or 5 hours north where the research station was. So Alma's only 35 minutes away. So that's quite close in my perspective. So.
No, I think it's like that was a really good point you brought up, is like volunteering. And I think that is something we get a lot of like high school co-op students that come here, and they kind of ask me, if they ask me advice or whatever, like I ended up getting a contract here through volunteering. I was on maternity leave, and I was like, okay, I'm itching to get back in the field. I've been working all of my career up in Northern Ontario, so I was like, I don't know anybody around here. And so like volunteering really opens like a lot of doors for people, because you're able to, try new opportunities and experiences that you don't have to commit, I guess, to a long term. And you can dabble in a lot of different things, whether it's like aquaculture or just fish related type stuff, and really build up your skills and your knowledge, or even your resume that way. And you're really able to meet and connect with new people. I probably would have never connected with half of these people, or more than half, all of them really, if I didn't come here and volunteer. And I wouldn't even known I liked aquaculture if I hadn't volunteered. Aquaculture was never on my radar. So I think a lot of advice I give to people is volunteering, because you can really navigate and get some hands-on experience without committing to, like employment for a year or something like that, or, a 6-month contract. Volunteering is really on your terms, and mutual agreement with the staff as well. But I think volunteering is a huge aspect. And like we're saying, I know we're really 35 minutes from the University of Guelph, so I know we're not super far, but it's hard when people don't have cars and stuff like that. But, coming out here, and if you are in Guelph area, and you want to volunteer, I think, I don't know if Marcia wants me to say this, but reach out to Marcia, our manager. And if you're going to the University of Guelph and you want to volunteer and check out aquaculture, we're not too far away, and you can, get a month or 2 months under your belt and see if people like it. So that's all I really have for you today. I don't know if you have any other information you want to share with us today.
No, that's about it. I would say for volunteering, if you're not working 1 or 2 jobs, then and if you have the time to volunteer, definitely. But even if volunteering is a bit privileged, but I would say even taking a day or a week of your time in between things and going to the station or going into someone's lab and just observing, you don't even have to dissect a fish or anything like that, would kind of open your eyes to see, okay, is this right fit for me or not? So I would just say, don't settle, keep asking questions, and keep on pursuing what you're passionate about. But anyways, thanks for having me on. That's all I have to say. Thanks, Kaylee.
No, thank you, David, for joining me today and sharing not only your personal experience in navigating the world of aquaculture and your research, but also how others are able to kind of kickstart their career. So thank you so much.
Hey guys, I hope you liked the video today. If you did, please swim on over and hit the like button and subscribe. Comment below if you have any questions you want answered in any of our future videos. Hope to see you next time.